Okay. Well, hello everyone. Welcome. I'm so excited to see so many people here today. And it's just my honor to welcome you to our final installment of the Spring 2022 JAMI Career Connect series. So my name is Yas Hardaway, and I'm the Executive Director of Career Services at GSEP. And this program is in partnership between GSEP Career Services, GSEP Alumni Relations, and our Psi Chi's Pepperdine West LA chapter. So some of you may be wondering, what is JAMI? So if you're new to these programs, JAMI is a Swahili term for community. And our JAMI Communities of Practice programs are really designed to provide labor market insight, so updated information about what's happening in our education and psychology industries, as well as give you an opportunity to connect with alumni and other professionals in your field of interest. So it's career information and also networking that we hope that you will benefit from these programs. And there are two different types of program underneath the umbrella of JAMI Communities of Practice. The first is our JAMI Career Webinar Series, and those are in the fall. And those are moderated Q&A panels with our alumni and industry speakers. And then in the spring, which is what we are in now, is our JAMI Career Connect sessions. And these are interactive learning sessions where you have an opportunity to have small group breakout conversations with our speakers. So our focus today, our topic is today is specializations in psychology, pursuing your own niche. Just a reminder that a recording is in progress and live transcription is also provided for those that would like to access it. So our outcomes for today are twofold. We hope that you'll gain exposure to and deepen your understanding of specific specializations in psychology, and then also to learn about the process for pursuing each of these unique specializations. So some of you may be trying to figure out what your next step is or where you want to specialize within the field of psychology. And so this is an opportunity to learn a little more about these niche fields and also the steps to get started or to pursue those pathways. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Dr. Renee Dorn, our Director of Alumni Relations, who will introduce our speakers. Dr. Dorn?
Thank you so much, Yas. I just have to say I am extremely excited to introduce 4 alums from GSEP that have very exciting specializations that they are involved with. And so at this time, I'm going to introduce each one of them and then have them talk a little bit about what they do and how they even decided to select the specialization that they're in. So the first person is Jasmeet Bueller. Hello, Jasmeet.
Yeah, thanks so much, Renee. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today. There's really, I left Pepperdine about 10 years ago and have not really left ever since then. Really have had different experiences. I graduated with my degree in marriage and family therapy. Went on to get licensed as a marriage and family therapist here in California. There's a lot of stops along the way: community mental health, working with a lot of local nonprofits, working with a lot of people who just needed a lot more services, and then working in inpatient facilities where the need was even greater, and having that opportunity, work in some 24/7 facilities and things like that, and then also in private practices as well. Working with really young kids, also working with the elderly and also everybody in between, families and couples in there as well, and then ventured out, started doing some teaching, doing some other things that are listed in my bio, but then the other one that always draws a lot of interest is right now being vice president of a consulting company where we provide management consulting for companies in the field of aerospace and national defense. So lots of different things in there. Yeah.
That seems very exciting, Jasmine. And so, I mean, with your wealth of knowledge, how did you decide, or how are you able to focus it towards consulting within aerospace?
Yeah, that's a good question. I wouldn't say it was a wealth of knowledge, to be honest. I appreciate you saying that, but I don't think that's the case. For me, it was really trying my best to be ready for any opportunity that came my way at any point. And for that job in particular, that was something that I kind of got plucked out of a circle of many individuals, and just kind of got chosen for it, and started working hard, and tried to put in my time and tried to put in some work, and it eventually worked out.
Well, that's fantastic. So if anyone wants to hear more about Jasmeet and his wealth of knowledge and how he's segued into aerospace, make sure you join his breakout room. Okay, thank you, Jasmeet. So our next speaker for today is another GSEP alum, Jacqueline Mendez. Hello, Jacqueline.
Hello, everybody. Let's see here.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. This is really exciting for me. I'm a GSEP alumni, and I'm also a SEAVR alumni. So I love
You're
that I get to talk
double.
about, I'm a double alumni.
Double alum. Yes,
So
yes.
I love that I get to participate in this. I've also had the wonderful opportunity of being a guest teacher at various practicums in the last few years. So I have also just really enjoyed meeting students and getting them to talk about what I do, which is what I love, which is the field of sex therapy. I am an ASEX sex therapist. I'm an ASEX sex therapist supervisor. And similar to many people that go into the MFT realm, I started in community mental health. I specifically started working with children and adolescents and women who had trauma and sexual trauma backgrounds. And I found myself feeling very frustrated with just the way that the system was created, particularly because it was very symptom driven. And as soon as the trauma symptoms reduced or the client was doing better, it was time to close their case and off they went. And I always was left with the question, well, how do I incorporate my sexual self back into my life? How do I know who I am in the erotic space? Because that was taken from me. So that became my life's work, is to help women, men, all sorts of people. What I loved the most about my career choice is that it really made me look inside of myself, looked at my own biases, my own culture, my own upbringing, my own misunderstandings about who I was as a human being, as a woman of color, who I am as a sexual being. So all of those things we don't usually have conversations about those things, right? And yet, who doesn't think about sex? Who doesn't wonder if they're doing something right or wrong? Many times clients come in and they ask me if this is normal. Well, if they're experiencing it, it's normal. And the last few years, I decided to expand my way of serving the community. I also own a group practice here in Woodland Hills that directly provides community service in regards to sexuality and sexual well-being. I have a few Pepperdine alumni that also work for me. So I was explaining earlier today, it's like Pepperdine has been such a crucial thing, such a crucial part of my life. And I love that I get to serve in different ways now. And I am one of the very few sex therapists of color. And believe it or not, I'm maybe one or two certified Spanish speaking sex therapists in all of Los Angeles.
Wow.
So that was another reason why I decided I'm going to supervise people, and I'm going to open a place where clients can come and get services that they need, and clinicians can come in and get the mentoring and the training that they need to pursue this career. Being a Latin woman also has meant that I get a lot of phone calls and emails from other people of color that want to open their own group practices. They want to grow their own solo practices. So I also have this other branch to my company where that's what I do. I support other women, other men to open their own practices. Desire for me is desire, whether it's a sexual desire, it's a prosperity desire. And that's where I love to work.
Well, thank you, Jacqueline. You know, this is going to be very interesting because there have been a lot of people that are very interested in getting into sex therapy or being a sex supervisor. So if you're interested in hearing more about what Jacqueline does, then make sure you join her breakout room. Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Jacqueline. So our next speaker is Dr. Yesenia Sloan Pena. She's also a double alum and she's all the way in Florida joining us. So thank you so much, Dr. Sloan Pena, for joining us today.
Yeah, it's awesome. I second and third what the other panelists said. I loved my experience at Pepperdine. It was amazing. I got my master's in arts there. Also a PsyD alum. And so as soon as I entered into the doctoral program, I knew I wanted to focus on psychological and neuropsychological testing. I also focused on my practicum, internship, postdoc in neuropsychological testing, neurobiology, neurophysiology. I love the brain. And I love teaching other students. So a lot of my experience has also been teaching residents, working in hospitals. So right now, I'm a psychologist at a really large group behavioral medicine practice here in Florida. And so there's psychologists, psychiatrists that do medication, psychologists that do TMS, the whole gamut, but I only focus on neuropsychological testing. So in the group practice, I see cradle to the grave, which is pediatric patients beginning at 18 months, all the way up until my oldest patient who's 99 years old. So I see across the lifespan. So at my group practice, primarily the referrals come from pediatricians or neurologists or primary care physicians. But then I also see just forensic patients in my private practice. And so I see patients who maybe have had a traumatic brain injury and I am retained on behalf of the plaintiff's attorney. So that's the person doing the suing. And sometimes I'm retained on behalf of the defense attorney, which is if it's a traumatic brain injury in a motor vehicle accident, it might be the car insurance. If it's workers' compensation, it's the employer. Sometimes I'll get criminal cases. So it'll be, oh, my client did this, crime, and I evaluate them for competency, or I evaluate them for intellectual disabilities, because those are the primary reasons that people get evaluated for, whether it's an intellectual disability or insanity. And then I also see patients with traumatic brain injuries, sports injuries. We have a really large baseball business here in Florida. So I evaluate baseball players with CTE, concussions from football injuries. And then of course, fitness for duty, which is if an employer has questions about whether or not their the employee can do their job. I also evaluate that for that. So it's a very diverse work, what I do, because I see young children all the way up to adults with everything from stroke and Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, all the way up to developmental delays and autism spectrum disorder. And I'm also Spanish speaking. And so like Jacqueline, there's, I think, 5 Spanish speaking neuropsychologists in the state of Florida that do what I do. So it's a very small niche, but I love it.
Wow. That's amazing, just amazing. So if anyone is interested in hearing more about neuropsychology, forensic psychology, and just learning more about what Dr. Sloan Pena does, make sure you join her in her breakout room. And so thank you, Dr. Sloan Pena. Thank you so much. And so our last speaker will be Dr. Jeremy Watson. Hello, Dr. Watson. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello. How are you?
Doing great, doing great.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak here today with you all. I'm really excited. My journey, I think, similar to most people's careers, is very nonlinear. There are no straight lines in people's career paths. So when I got out of undergrad, I didn't know really what I wanted to do. I know that I wanted to attend Pepperdine and get my master's degree in clinical psych, and that was on my list. And I wanted to practice as a therapist, which I did. And that was several years ago, like 15 years ago at this point. and spent several years in community mental health, working as a clinician, working with adolescent girls, very angry adolescent girls on probation and foster youth, doing really great work trying to get people back to their families and reunified. Crisis management, so a lot of 5150s, a lot of fun nights and crazy calls. And really during that time, spent time really thinking about really what I want to do in the long run. And so I took the opportunity to think through, do I want to go and get a PhD or PsyD in clinical? Do I want to do something else? So I did a lot of research. I talked to a lot of people. I reached out to my network, reached out to my friends. I looked at job postings online to see what might be of interest to me in the long run. And that really informed my decision to go back to school and get my PhD in industrial organizational psychology from the Illinois Institute of Technology in Chicago, where I froze during the winters because I'm from California. So I learned not only about psychology, but I also learned on how to deal with cold winters. And during my time there, I got the chance to teach and do internal consulting for different companies, provide services around surveys and 360-degree feedback. And after graduating, landed at a market research firm known as JD Power, for those who are familiar with it, and got my feet wet there in terms of getting more like a statistician job and doing some consulting. Because ultimately, you want to leverage how is an organization going to leverage the market research? What are they going to do with it, right?
Right.
So my job was really focused on that. And then from that point on, I joined 2 other consulting firms that were focused on talent management solutions. So providing job architecture, job analysis, test development, leadership assessment, leadership development. And in my current role at the VIA Group, I'm a senior consultant where I'm assisting companies in executive assessment. So finding the right person for the right job based on a leadership model, and also doing executive coaching. So once someone goes in role, helping them to be more successful in their role.
Wow. My goodness, I tell you, listening to all 4 of you, I just want to hop from breakout room to breakout room because everything you're saying is just amazing. So thank you, Dr. Watson, for everything that you just said. And if anyone is interested in industrial organizational psychology and how you can segue that into working for different corporations, please join Dr. Watson's breakout room. So at this time, I'm going to turn it back over to Yaz so that we can get ready to go to the breakout room so you can get more information from each one of these speakers. So sending it back to you, Yaz.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Dorn. It is very exciting. I echo your sentiments. I want to be in all of the rooms as well, too. Okay, so let's take a look to see how to approach the breakout room. So you'll be able to choose your own room. So Franya, our career services specialist, has set up the breakout rooms and she'll open them shortly. But I just want to mention a few things. You can view the speaker lineup just so that, again, you can read a little bit about each speaker's background before you choose which room to go into. And halfway through, you'll have an opportunity to switch rooms. And I encourage you to do so just so you can hear a different perspective. So after about 15 minutes, I'll broadcast a message encouraging you to switch rooms. I do encourage you, if possible, I know this is not possible for everyone, to have your cameras on when you're in the breakout room. I think it allows for a little bit more of a connection with the speaker and with the others in the room. So I encourage you to do that if possible. Just a reminder to please share the space with others, that the time in the breakout room is short. And so I encourage you to ask your question, but also to allow opportunities for others to be able to ask theirs as well. Using the raise hand feature can be helpful. There'll be a facilitator in each of the rooms, and that might just help manage the questions as they come up. So these are the sample questions. Tammy has also copied and pasted them in the chat. You don't have to ask all of these questions. They don't all have to be covered, but this is just to help maybe get the juices flowing as you think about the type of information you'd like to hear from each of the speakers. So without further ado, Franya, would you like to open up the rooms? And I will also pause the recording while we're in the breakout rooms. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I heard some great discussions, and I am sure that it could have gone on much longer. A lot of good questions there. So I regret that we are coming to the close of our session, but hopefully it was a good teaser and an opportunity for you to then follow up and continue your research and exploring these different pathways. So what I'd like to do now is to turn it to EEG, who is our president of the PsyChi's Pepperdine West LA chapter, just to talk a little bit briefly about PsyChi. Yi?
Thank you, yes. So PsyChi is an honorary society for psychology majors. You do have to have a 3.7 GPA to enter, and it's $60 for a lifelong membership. It's very good to put on your resume. It's a good way to connect with people who's in the same club. And we also have events going on. We did an international perspective talking last semester, and we're partnering up with Career Center, and we're planning on bringing more alumni or people who are currently in practicum to share their experience. I know that's always nerve-wracking. So if anyone's interested, you can look us up, and then I'll also leave the emails in the chat. So if anyone wants to join, welcome to send any questions.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here today. So we will now transition, and it looks like, okay, there we go. It's doing it. So I know we're getting short of time, so we'll just briefly touch on these resources, and we'll put the links in the chat so that you can explore further. I just wanted to remind you all about Handshake, Pepperdine's career portal, where you can access employment listings, career events such as this one, different career resources like resume tips and samples, as well as schedule appointments, either a document and social media consult or a career design session. And of course, the platform has job listings from employers across a number of different industries as well. So that's your go-to career portal. I just also want you to know that students, faculty, and staff have free access to LinkedIn Learning and Coursera. So you can access professional development courses, earn certifications or digital badges, which would be a way to upskill and enhance your qualifications for different types of career fields. So now I'll turn it over to Sophia just to talk briefly about Pep Connect.
Yes, so briefly, I want to talk about Pep Connect, which is an online platform for all of Pepperdine. So that includes students, alumni, faculty, staff. You'll find everyone on there. It's an exclusive online platform with over 10,000 members where you can find a mentor, be a mentor, post your business, find jobs. It's a really great resource. So I definitely recommend for all of you to check it out. It's free. So that's the awesome part. So I recommend for you to go on there, sign up, and just network with our fellow Pepperdine Waves.
Great, thank you.
Thank
you, Sophia. Thank you. So if you want to access the speaker lineup or any of our GME Career Connect recordings, we do record the first part so you can hear the speaker introductions. We'll put the link to the drive in the chat so that you'll be able to access those again later. And again, these are recordings of the introductions as well as document that provides the speaker lineup so that you can see just a little bit about each of the speakers that presented today. And then we always want to hear how we're doing and how we could improve. Your feedback actually helps inform future JAMI programs. So the way that we selected these topics today are from the feedback that we hear from students and alumni. So we'll go ahead and put this brief survey in the chat so that you have an opportunity to be able to share your feedback that will inform future JAMI sessions. Stay tuned for our Fall 22 JAMI Career Webinar Series. Once we have our lineup, we will send those out as well so that you can join us back in September for our JAMI Webinar Career Series. And then I also want to just encourage you to follow GSEP on social media, whether it's through Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and LinkedIn's alumni group. this is an opportunity to also network by following people who are doing the type of work that you're interested in, whether it's alumni, other students or faculty or staff. This is just a great way for you to stay connected to the GSEP community and the type of work that our community members are doing. So I encourage you to do that as well. I just wanted to also then just close by thanking our panelists once again. They have volunteered their time to be with us today. And the fact that you have taken time out of your busy schedules to share your wisdom and experience with our students really speaks to who you are as educators. And we are just really grateful for you giving back in such a meaningful way to our community. So thank you again. And thank you to the rest of you for taking time out of your day to be here and to come learn and connect. We know that there is a lot of competition with Zoom events and programs. And so we're just grateful that you're here with us today. So enjoy the rest of your day. And we look forward to seeing you again in the fall. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Bye.